I remember the first time that I walked into this building. It seemed so dark, foreboding. But over the last 3 years, I've come to love this place. I've come to love what it brings to my life. The joy, the celebration, yes, sometimes even the heartache. But it's not the same. Because it's empty. You're not here. You're not here, and that is what makes this place special. That is what makes this place come alive. That is what transforms this from a cold, empty building to a place of warmth, worship, and life. I know people might feel differently about it, but for me, you take the people out of this place and it just becomes a building. An interesting building, yes. A historical building, of course. But a building that serves little purpose and has little function. But a people without a building can still be the body. And friends, that's what we are. The body of Christ. Spread apart by time and distance, by imposed isolation. Now I know that many of you who meet for worship don't meet in this place. You meet next door in the parish centre. You meet over there in the chapel. Perhaps you meet at Barney's as our All Saints North congregation, or St Mary's up at Georgetown. And I look forward to the day that we can gather together again. I really do. But I want this image to be fixed in our minds. This, friends, is not the Church of Christ. It is not the body. It is a building. And what makes this place so special is that moment when you walk through those doors again. Take your seat, look at a person across the aisle, give them a warm smile and a wave, and then together set our hearts and minds on Jesus. Hi friends, you might be wondering what a homeless person is doing sleeping on the floor of St. John's. It's actually your lead minister in disguise. Just wanted to take a few minutes to let you know of some of what's happening this week, some really important information about what it looks like going forward. But firstly, I just wanted to address the fact that I've reached B-list celebrity status. That's right, my name was the subject of a scam, a recent scam. Many of you would have received an email purportedly from me asking for iTunes vouchers or respond because I had a particular favour to ask. For those of you that looked closer, you would have discovered that that email was actually sent, the email address was pastorsamu@gmail.com. I didn't mention this earlier, but I once was the village chief of an island in Samoa, and I went by Pastor Samu. So for those of you who knew that, you've got an excuse. But for the rest of you, that name means nothing to me anymore. So if you receive anything from Pastor Samu, consider it a scam. If you receive something from me or any of our staff asking for iTunes vouchers or a favour, it's a scam. If I really need you to help with something, I will call you and speak to you so you'll know it's me. Earlier this week, I met with other rectors and the bishop and the registrar to talk about re-entry into church life. If you're interested, the diocese has released a diagram detailing the 4 planned stages from their perspective. You can find it on their website, anglicantaz.org. We'll be following that and adjusting to it as needed. The most important thing to know is that nothing at the moment changes. We're going to continue doing what we're doing in terms of digital church and streaming on YouTube. Our Connect groups are meeting over Zoom, and we're going to have to continue like that for the next month. The good news is that from June the 15th, a number of our ministries will be able to resume face-to-face meeting. These include our Connect groups, our youth group, the Ebenezer Year. It won't be straightforward. Every Connect group and every ministry will need a health and safety plan that is derived from the All Saints safety plan. We'll be developing that in the coming month. In fact, we begin that next week. A church the size and scope of All Saints, a network, brings with it additional challenges. But please be assured we're doing everything we can to open up the All Saints network for face-to-face engagement whilst minimising risk and maximising the opportunity before us. It's a challenging time, but it's a great time as we continue to trust in the Lord and what He's doing. The longer this goes on, the more and more we want to meet together. At least I do. The harder it is to wait. And so waiting for this time when we can gather together again, I liken to the due date for a pregnancy. I think the worst thing that can ever happen to a pregnant woman is that she's given a due date, because that date goes in the calendar, it's circled in red. What happens if the baby doesn't come on that date? Of course, when you go past that date, it's so difficult. The waiting intensifies. It becomes even more difficult. And so if we were to give you a date that we can resume, if we knew that, which we don't, and we weren't able to meet that, it would make it so much harder. I ask that you'd show grace and kindness and patience to your leaders and to one another, and to trust us that we will do everything we can to bring us as a network back into operation in the best way possible. So whilst we can give you the due date for the beginning of some of our ministries, we can't yet give you the due date for the beginning of our congregations. Lastly, we're about to start in a couple of weeks' time a series on heaven. I've called it For Heaven's Sake. And I'm putting out a call out to you. Do you have questions about heaven? Do you have things that you've wondered or things that you'd like addressed in a series as we dig into the Bible and see what it has to say about heaven? If you do, whilst I'm preparing this series in the next couple of weeks, feel free to send through your questions to rector@allsaints.network, and I'd be delighted to take a look. And some of those questions, I'm sure, will then feature in the sermon series that we begin in 2 weeks' time. Well, friends, that's all for me now. Hope you're safe. Hope you're loving God and loving people. Be kind and caring to one another, and trust that the Lord is good and sovereign, and He is doing His work here in Launceston, in the north of Tasmania, and across the world. Stay encouraged, stay in the Word, and I hope to see you Sunday. God bless. Bye.